Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, StayNTouch Product Enhancements, version 5.35, additional date filters added to scheduled reports, categorized view implemented for StayNTouch guest mobility translations, and more, presented by StayNTouch implementation consultant, James Lee. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at StayNTouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the StayNTouch Cloud PMS version 5.35 product release. In this webinar, we will demonstrate the additional date filter added to select scheduled reports, highlight 2-digit decimal rounding for guest bill, account, and group transactions, illustrate that currency conversion rate displays under journal description field, review AR folio label added to stationery, identify the display name field added to hotel details, demonstrate updates to the confirmation email, discuss balance due added to the top of the screen for StayNTouch guest kiosk, and finally, highlight pooled balance amount for guest entity for StayNTouch guest mobility. We will have a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we will answer them in the order they are received at the end. And that's all I have for right now. James, I'm going to hand the presentation over to you.
Great, thanks, Erin. Okay, and let's see here. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for taking the time out to see some of our exciting features we've rolled out in version 5.35. The first thing I'd like to go over is just some things that we have set up in our report scheduler. We have added some new enhancements to parameters on the dates that you can actually select. Just to show you a few examples here, we also have the business on the books report. That has added some parameters to that. If I take a look at here. Oh, I'm sorry, I went into the wrong thing. Let me go schedule report. So in the scheduling report, we have the business on the books. We have added additional time periods here for the last 30 days and the next 30-day options. We also have our forecast guest and groups report. If I go here to the guest and groups report, we have added the ability to run past months. So you can see that you have your options here for last January, last February, March, April, etc. So you'll be able to pull data specifically for a month a year ago. Our demographic reports, which we have 3 different options. We have our demographics by our daily production by room types, daily production by demographics, and daily production by rate. These reports have given a lot of new time parameters here. We used to just have yesterday set up here, but now if you look at the time periods, we've added a lot more options here. You can run historic and future, and you can see again the last month options as well. We also added under the rate adjustment report, you also have current plus month options, and then we have the financial transactions adjustment report that gives you the last 30-day options as well. So lots of new features with our reports scheduler and the parameters on which you can set up to be delivered. The next thing I'd like to show on our new features is in your guest folio view. So if I'm taking a look at one of my guests here, I have a room set up here in 401. And I go into bill and charges here. You can now see on bill number 1 up here, it does give you the 2 decimals here to identify the cents for a dollar amount. Previously, it just gave the $378. You wouldn't see the 2 decimal points, but now we've added the exact balance on the bill tabs up here at the top. The next thing is regarding our currency exchange, and I'm going to actually jump over to my training environment, which I have some currency exchange set up. But if I go into my room here, and I'm on Davy Jones, and I go into bill and charges, and I go into process a payment here, and if I'm paying in cash, I have my dollar, which defaults to here, but I can expand down here to change this to euros, and it's going to change the amount for euros. I'm going to make the payment here, And scroll down the bottom, you can see that even though I paid in euro, it is going to show the US total here, US dollar total, I should say. But under your journal now, if I go into my financials and journal, and I go into payments and I take a look at today's date. And if I go under my cash payment here, you can see right here that I have the cash payment, but there is a note now that it was paid in euros. So you can see the euro amount there. All right, next thing I'm going to jump back over to our demo hotel, which is Wexford Bay. We have added the ability to add a label to your statements for AR invoice numbers, and that's actually in your settings here. If you go under hotel and staff in your stationery, under invoices, you have general invoice settings here, and this is where we've added, this is your AR invoice number label is added here, and you will actually see this in your statement. So I'm going to go into accounts receivables here. And I go into StayNTouch. And if I'm printing out a statement, you can now see under the invoices, it does give you that label that you added, where it says this is your AR invoice number, and you can show that displays that information there. Another enhancement we rolled out is the ability to configure a title under email addresses for communications that come from the hotel. So in settings here, under hotel and staff and under hotel details, if you get down to the email address that shows when communication is sent from StayNTouch, you can see down here at the bottom, you now have the ability to add a title prior to the email address. So you would separate the email address with brackets and then put the title over here on the left. And I do have an email pulled up that I can show you what that's going to look like. Bring this over here. So this is the email setup, and you can now see that it just says Wexford Bay Hotel here, and then it adds the email address. Previously, you would not be able to see the title there. You would just see the actual email address show up here, but it's nice to be able to add that title now on your emails that go out. In connection with this, we also rolled out some changes to our confirmation letter, or I should say new enhancements to our confirmation letter. But under hotel and staff, and actually I'll show you here on the email first. But if you look on the email here, we've added the ability to include your check-in time and checkout time, or arrival time, departure time. As you can see, this is showing arrival at 7:30, and we're showing a departure time at 11 a.m. Now, if you want to include this information in your confirmation letters, you could do so here under stationery. Under confirmations and cancellations, we go into guest confirmation, and then we have your confirmation email. These are all the options that you can select to include in your confirmation letter. And down here at the bottom, you can see we have the display arrival departure time. All right. The next part that we're going to discuss is going to relate to our StayNTouch kiosk solution. So I do have something set up where I can take a look. What we've done is we've made the balance a little bit more clearer to see when you're actually doing a checkout through our StayNTouch kiosk solution. But if you see right here, I can go ahead and check out, and I'm going to go ahead and put my last name here. We're going to put my room number. And we now have added up here at the top that gives you the guest total balance due. So when you're checking out via the kiosk, the guest will see that. Previously, we've always had this information down here at the bottom, but it's a little hard to see. You can kind of see it's kind of faded out a little bit. This is a lot more clearer. It gives your guest a better view of what they currently owe. Now, recently we did roll out the ability to settle multiple bills in our kiosk solution. We have now added that feature to our mobile solution as well. And let me bring out my mobile checkout invite here. But I have my checkout invite. I'm going to go ahead and check out online. I'm going to bring up my room again. We're going to go ahead and check out now. Check out now, and it's going to give you this option here for multiple bills are found, and it's going to give you the option to either settle your bills, or you can go ahead and see the front desk or call them at this number here. But we're going to go ahead and settle bills. Bill number 1 is giving me my total here. I'm going to go ahead and accept charges and check out. We're going to use the credit card on file, and we're going to make a payment. And now you can see that it's taking me to bill number 2. I can see what the charges are. Looks like I had I visited the spa while I was on site, but I had the spa charges on a different folio. I can go ahead and accept the charges and check out. Now, I don't have a credit card on bill number 2, but it is prompting me to allow me to go ahead and input my credit card number here. We're going to go ahead and put a trading number we have. We're going to choose expiration date. We're going to add a card. Oh, forgot the CVV number. And now we're going to add a credit card, and we can go ahead and make a payment and then settle out bill number 2 as well. All right. And with that, that does wrap up our new features and enhancements that we've rolled out for version 5.35. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you, Erin.
All right. Thank you, James, for that insightful presentation. I'd now like to turn over the floor for questions. Remember, you can submit questions through the question box in the middle of the control panel. So our first question is, will the currency conversion rate show on the guest folio?
Oh, actually, yes, it will. That's a great question. Let me bring up my room number here. Oh, sorry, wrong guest, wrong hotel. So this is the folio that we posted that payment for the euros on. If I go into invoice here and print out, and I scroll down to the bottom, you can see right here on the second page here towards the top, this is the last transaction, but it does show the cash payment and it does show the euro amount that was posted as well. So the guests can see the US dollar amount as well as the euro amount.
Great. And I don't see any other questions right now. I'll give everyone a few more seconds to enter those. All right, since there are no more questions, I'd like to take the floor to offer some final thoughts. All right, so today we demonstrated the additional date filter added to select scheduled reports. We highlighted 2-digit decimal rounding for the guest bill, account, and group transactions, illustrated that currency conversion rate displays under journal description field, reviewed a folio label added to stationery, identified the display name field added to hotel details, demonstrated updates to the confirmation email, discussed balance due added to the top of the screen for StayNTouch guest kiosk, and finally, we highlighted pool balance amount for guest entity for StayNTouch guest mobility. With that, I'd like to conclude our presentation. Thank you all so much for coming. If you have any additional questions, feel free to email me at erin.fisher@stayintouch.com. Thanks again.